Hello, do you or a loved one have sore hip flexors, traps, or jaw muscles? A lot of people do. In fact, over the last 1,500 people that I've worked on in my clinic, those are common complaints, or if they're not a complaint, I can poke around and it's quite tender. So you could even try for yourself. Am I sore here? Am I tender here? So here's an interesting experiment that I'm running that could be of value to you. All right, so something I learned years ago is soreness doesn't mean just simply tight or spastic. A lot of the temptation is, oh, sore traps. Let me massage it. Let me stretch it. Okay, you have to think, why do muscles get sore? All right, and part of it is because you push a fatigued muscle too far, it will spaz out. That's the mechanism. Muscle's exhausted, you keep pushing it, it'll spasm. One of the reasons is spasms, like muscle fibers kind of go like this, but in a spasm, they kind of lock like this. And so you can create tension without using much energy. And that's useful. So there's nothing wrong with spasms. Now, here's the interesting thing. Stronger is better. So if like my hip flexors are so tight and you want to stretch, decent chance they're already kind of stretched out from weakness. So strengthening your hip flexors often improves this sensation of hip flexor tightness. Not just stretching. Same with traps, okay? So a lot of tender traps out there. And part of that's because a lot of us have forward head posture and we're lengthening our traps out and they're not very strong. Also, we tend to brace subconsciously when we feel under threat. And so they're engaged, but they're not strong. So they're engaged. So low-level stress over time leads to exhaustion. Exhaustion leads to spasms. Tender traps. So one of the remedies for this is just making them stronger so they don't fatigue out as easily. That's like overhead pushing motions like a military press. So try that out. That's worked for me and worked for a lot of my patients over the years. So traps, hip flexors, make them stronger. They will become less tight. But what they're really doing is making them less able to fatigue out very easily. Okay. Third thing, jaw. What do we do? I've had dentists over the years that are like, it's from clenching while you sleep. And me, in my profession, is always like, well, if you're clenching during your sleep, it's because you're in stress physiology. You're in your sympathetic nervous system function, so you don't feel safe. So you're clenching and you're bracing, even while you're sleeping, which isn't good. So you can resolve that doing some of the work that I do. But now I started thinking, well, maybe I just have a weak jaw. So if I'm palpating around and there's some tenderness, like in my masseter muscles, certainly tenderness in my lateral pterygoids behind like the angle of your jaw. So go ahead and poke around. Might be tender for you. I'm going to run an experiment. I'm just going to get my jaw muscles stronger. How do you do that? Well, you can just like chew food that's very difficult to chew. Dr. Mew, who's kind of a pioneer in this field, he says do something as simple as just like taking 10 sticks of gum and chewing on it. So to work your jaw muscles. Now there's a trend going around in the world and it's like jaw exercisers that you can buy. So I bought really cheap ones. These ones were like, I don't know, $9 for a pack of 3 little tiny things that you chew on. And you put them in there and you chew on it and you work the muscles. Now I guarantee if you have typically tender muscles, I bet, and by tender I mean you could poke around and it's like, yeah, that is kind of sore. I bet you try these out, you can't last a minute chewing these things, okay? And so I just started the experiment like a week ago. Mostly what I noticed is being sore. But sore is a good sign. Sore is typically the beginning point of developing muscular changes in an area. So anyway, like these ones, for example, and I don't recommend any brand. I honestly have no affiliate with the brand. But just doing something that challenges your jaw muscles, work your muscles more. Like our ancestors chewed food that was difficult to chew. We don't. Our food's soft. We drink smoothies. We eat ground up meat already. We don't really chew that much. So try developing these muscles. The reason it's popular on the internet because people are trying to create these awesome jaw lines or whatever, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. My wife has a absolute killer jawline. So if my jawline gets better, fantastic. But if I get less tenderness in my jaw or especially these lateral pterygoids back here, I'll be quite happy. So I'm experimenting. I'm going to share with you, but something for you all to consider.